I'm back again with another video. If you are new to my channel, please be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, turn on the notification bell so every time I post something, you won't miss it. So guys, in today's video, as you can tell by the title, I am going to be talking about, how more so how I would advise someone to balance their life in their nursing school or being in nursing school. And when I say life, I mean like your bills, working, socializing, a lot of things that I feel like everyone questions, but more so not everyone touches the base on. I know there are a lot of nursing YouTubers out there who make the video, should you work in nursing school? And I myself made the video, can you work in nursing school? Any advice, any tips to work in nursing school? But honestly, you have to be realistic. We have to be realistic, and we have to, know that everybody that wants to work in nursing school and go to nursing school at the same time, everybody is not capable of that. Because a lot of times when people get into nursing school, they see how overwhelming nursing school is, and they just realize they absolutely cannot work. But then again, we have to be realistic and realize that there's still bills that have to be paid. There's still food that needs to be put in the refrigerator. There are a lot of things and a lot of students who have families that you can't just put on the back burner just because you start nursing school. So in today's video, just jumping straight into it, I'm going to be talking about, any advice and any tips that I have for anyone who's, questioning how they're going to balance life in nursing school. Okay, so of course everyone wants to know, I'm pretty sure, more so about the money aspect, working, how do I pay my bills, how do I live on my own? Because for those of you who don't know, I do live on my own. I did have to move to Houston by myself for nursing school. And so a lot of you also know that I worked in nursing school. Well, I worked in my third semester of nursing school. So I'm going to be giving tips, advice, and if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them down below in the comments and I will answer them as soon as possible. So, guys, starting off, I do want to say that I do have an extremely big supportive, support system. If I ever need anything, if I'm going to be real, if I'm ever short on money, short on rent, short on gas, short on food, my mother is there to, help me and to give me that change or that money that I'm missing or that money that I need. So I don't want to sit here and film this video and be like, oh, I do all this by myself, like I have no help, because that would be, far from the truth. I do want to say, I do have a very strong supportive system. My sister, my mother, there for me. If I do need something, they're always there for me. So aside from them, there are things that I have to do on my own. I do have to prioritize. I do have to still have responsibilities of my own to make sure that even though I'm in nursing school, everything else that I'm responsible for is still getting taken care of. So aside again from, my family being a support system, honestly saving up, and when I knew I was about to go into nursing school, again, when I was taking my prereqs, I knew that nursing school was not cheap. I knew I was gonna have to move in an apartment by myself. I knew I was gonna be responsible for bills, for groceries, gas. I knew I was gonna be responsible for it. So that is when I realized that I needed to start saving up money. So this is what I would say. I started to do this probably in my prereqs, maybe like a semester or two before I actually started nursing school. I will 100% say that I do get refunds from my school. So basically what that means, if you don't know, is when you get financial aid through the government to pay for school, basically. When you get that money back and it pays off all your tuition and fees, all your classes, everything that needs to be paid for as far as your school, you get an amount back, pretty much called a refund, for you to spend however you want to spend it. It's your money. I will be honest, a lot of people blow that money, a lot of people buy unnecessary things, but me personally, like I said, when I knew that I was about to start nursing school, I knew that I was going to need that extra money. So what I did with my refund is I started to save it, I started to put it away, I started saving it in a bank account, because again, I'd rather have it long-term, save it for long-term, use it for bills, use it for rent, versus me just blowing it on stuff that I didn't need. So a lot of people do ask me, they're like, because at this point, when I first started nursing school, I had a roommate. So that's something else I would advise. If you do have to move into an apartment, I highly suggest having a roommate, because that honestly makes things a lot easier. It splits the rent, splits the bills, splits the groceries. Everything is basically split in half, versus if you stay by yourself, you're literally responsible for everything. So again, versus living with a roommate and living without a roommate, yes, it's amazing to stay by yourself, but at the same time, don't think of it as like, oh, I don't have to worry about somebody else living with me. Think of it as I have someone else staying in the house with me, we're splitting everything, so that makes it that much more cheaper for you. So a question that I get asked a lot, whether it's, in my email, through my messages on Instagram, is how do I manage to pay my rent, staying by myself, being in nursing school, and obviously not working that much. In my first semester that I did stay I started staying by myself my second semester of nursing school, and I wasn't working at that point in time. So a lot of people were asking, like, how are you affording this? And I will say a lot of people, when they do ask me that question, like, you know, not to get too personal, but at the same time, that is why I'm saying I feel like a lot of people touch on the aspect of can you work or not, but they don't touch on the aspect of, well, this is how I afford to do this, and this is how I afford to do that. So that's why I don't necessarily mind when people ask me questions like that, because I don't go, of course, I'm not going to go too far into my finances or how much this costs or that costs or how much I get paid. But I do want to say, again, that refund that I talked about earlier, I save that up. I use that to pay my rent. I budget myself, because honestly, that's the only, like, if I didn't know how to budget, if I didn't give myself a set amount of money to spend each month or to use each month, whether it's on bills, whether it's on extra stuff, you know, things like that, I honestly would probably blow my money in the first 1 to 2 months of getting it. But honestly, the refund that I get back from school, I can drag it out about 5 to 6 months, and that's about 5 to 6 months worth of rent at least. And then when I started working, that is when I started, you know, when I had that extra money, I was able to pay for, you know, more bills. I was able to pay, because I remember when I first moved into an apartment, even with a roommate, we still couldn't afford to have cable. And again, I felt like that wasn't something that I needed. That was something that we wanted. So it was cool. We didn't have to have cable. But then when I moved in by myself and I started working, and again, I started budgeting, cable was something that I could afford. So it's really not you having to feel like you have to have everything at one set, you know, point in time. You need to scratch on the basis of getting everything that you need to work towards what you want. Another thing that I do is I use my money wisely. And not only do I save, but I have to be cautious on what I decide I want to spend my money on. Yes, it's amazing. Yes, it's fun to go out, you know, with friends, or to go out to the club, or go out here and there. But that's not something that's gonna help me, you know, get my degree in the long run. So for me to go out every weekend or every other weekend, I don't feel like that's necessary for me, because again, I have to prioritize and I have to realize what's more important. Spending $200 in a club one night when that $200 can go to rent? Absolutely not. So again, I started to use my money more wisely. As far as, you know, not even just going out, like going out to eat or getting food, fast food, all that can go towards gas, all that can go towards rent. So really, again, saving up and knowing when and where to spend your money. Now, as far as working, which I have a whole video on that, and I will link it down below in the description box. As far as working in in nursing school, it's really, you know, watch the video and then come back to this video. It's really you as a person. And again, for those of you who don't know, I did not start working until my 3rd semester of nursing school. So I went a whole year without working. So that was a whole year's worth of money saved up to make sure that I was still able to pay my bills, still able to pay my rent. And then once I knew kind of what nursing school was like, that's when I started testing out the waters. And honestly, I only worked 12 hours a week, but the money that I did get paid did go directly towards bills. It didn't go towards nothing else. So again, watch the video on watch the video on working. And it truly, honestly, I just feel like it's who you are as a person. Again, like I said in my working video, I only work 12 hours a week, but my best friend can work 2 jobs, you know? So it's really how you can time manage, how, you know, me, I feel like I get overwhelmed really easy. And I know there was many times where I was at work thinking I really could be home sitting right now versus me standing here scanning groceries, you know? So again, it's who you are as a person. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was socializing and, you know, having a life. This is a question that, you know, a lot of people ask. Is your, you know, social life over once you get into nursing school? Now, I don't want to say that it's completely over. I don't want to say you have to delete all of your social media. You have to, you know, delete everyone's number out your phone, because, I mean, that would be ridiculous. You don't have to do that. It's really about self-discipline and knowing when to put your phone down, knowing when to say no when your friends ask you to go out, knowing when to say no when your family asks you to go somewhere. You know, I don't feel like it's necessary. You know, I have people that I go to school with, or friends that I go to school with, that when nursing school starts, they delete their social media. People have asked me, do I delete my social media? The answer is no. Well, one, you know, I do YouTube, and I feel like using my social media helps me with my YouTube, and YouTube, you know, helps me into a sense. So I don't feel like that would be kind of cutting off a lifeline for me to cut off social media. And I know that sounds really cliche and kind of really bad to say, but I personally know when to put my phone down. I know when to, you know, not post on YouTube, because like you guys know, there will be weeks where I'll go without posting at all. But, you know, again, I know when to schedule social media time, when to schedule socializing time, when to schedule friend time. I know when to do that. But there are some people that it's really hard for them to say no, to put their phone down. But, you know, to summarize it all up, no, your social life is not completely over. You just have to modify it, limit it, you know, kind of write a schedule if you have to. Okay, from 1 to 1:30 you have phone time, and then from 1:30 to whenever you're studying. It's really about scheduling, time management, and prioritizing. One more thing that I actually just remembered that I do want to touch on as far as the money goes is I also, so during the summer, what I do is work jobs that pay really well, or I don't want to say jobs, but I work one job that pays really well. So on top of me being able to, you know, pay my rent, pay my bills, get groceries, I'm also able to kind of save up money from the checks that I make during the summertime as well. So then once school actually starts, I have money that I've saved up, you know, over the few months of summertime. But yeah, guys, I mean, really the key factors here is just, you know, having that support system that, you know, not that you have to use them all the time, not that you have to say, Mom, I'm missing, you know, I really need $50 like every week. Absolutely not. But just someone that you can, you know, kind of lean towards, that can kind of help you out in emergency situations. And then again, saving up that money and, you know, working in the summertime, saving up that money as well, and really, you know, just using your money wisely. But I really hope, you know, you guys enjoyed this video. I know I haven't posted in the last week. I was kind of, you know, busy with family, as, you know, many of you know. So I'm sorry if this video, you know, kind of seems all over the place. I'm kind of getting in the groove, you know, swing back to things. But I hope this, you know, video helped you guys out. Again, if you do have any questions, be sure to leave them down below in the comments and I will answer them as soon as possible. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if I did help you out. Subscribe, stay up, stay with it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.